Achieving success in the best economy ever. Hello everyone, I'm Bobtheorc and welcome to Don't Be Someone Else's Bitch. Yes, today we are going to be talking about how the world isn't fair, but that's okay, because we're going to beat this unfair world like it's an unfair video game. A lot of people like to complain about how bad the world is. Oh, they say everything's good, but it really sucks. Oh, it's unfair. I'm being discriminated against, or I can't do this thing that other people can do. And these are all valid. You know, life sucks. But that doesn't mean you give up on it. If you want to win, you have to find a way to do it. We've all played these games, these video games that are poorly written, and they're just trash games. They're really difficult or glitchy. And it's like the developers were stupid, right? And the world's kind of like that. Let's face it, the people who run our country are morons. And most of the people at the top got there because of somebody else. There are some who got there through their own merits, but a lot of people either inherited it or cheated their way to the top or took advantage of a corrupt system. And while many people are going to talk politics about how to change it or fix it, or we need to do this thing, or we need to do that thing, the reality is that change can be very difficult to achieve. But I'm going to focus instead on how do you win, how do I win in this game of life, even if things are unfair to us. And I broke it down into a couple of different points. So the first thing I want to talk about is, how do you define success? And how do you measure it? Now, this is the most difficult thing for people. It's the most difficult thing for me. It took me a long time to figure out, what do I want to do with my life? What do I consider to be successful? You know, everybody looks at like all the rich and powerful and famous people with all their hot women and money and Ferraris and jacuzzis and private yachts, and maybe that's what you want. And you know, and if you want it, go for it. I'm not going to judge you. But what I think is practical is what's going to make me happy? What's going to make me a fulfilled person? In my case, I like traveling the world and building cool things and helping people. Ideally, all at the same time. And I feel that I've been very successful in life. I've earned enough money that I can do pretty much whatever the hell I want to do, whenever the hell I want to do it. I've traveled all over the world. I've even been to places they told me I shouldn't go because, damn it, I'm an American and I'm going to do what I want to do. And I've built all kinds of cool things. I haven't built my space station yet. That's going to require a lot more money than I have. But I've built a lot of cool things. I've built a bunch of cool projects. And sometimes I've just done it for myself. Hell, I practically built my own house. I bought this cheap, crappy house, and I spent a while just fixing up and rebuilding and doing cool things with it. I built a number of projects for work. Right now I'm building an expansion to my business just to have fun because I want to do it. And it means I have to work hard. But in order to stay motivated, you have to be able to measure what your success is. How do I know that I'm making progress? Having some esoteric goal that's very vague and kind of out there, that's not going to do you any good if you can't quantify it in some degree. How do you know if you're making progress towards it? Well, for example, I know that I want to be able to eat whatever I want. I can generally eat whatever I want. I go to the grocery store. I don't have to look at the prices. That means I'm probably doing pretty well. I'm doing better than most people in that regard. Every time I travel, I think back, I take some pictures and record some videos, and I think, hey, I went to this place, I went to that place. And so if I'm traveling to at least, one foreign country every year or twice a year, that means I'm probably achieving my goal for traveling the world. If I'm building cool things that I want to do, I try to build at least something cool every year, at least for myself, like a big project. I try to build, little things or do little things here and there whenever I can. But you got to find ways to measure it. Every time I cook my own steak, instead of eating McDonald's, I think, hey, I'm doing great. So figure out what you want to do and think about how you're going to do it, and figure out how to measure it, how to quantifiably see, this is what I'm doing, I did this, I did that. Because when you get discouraged, you're going to need something to look back on. And that's really important to maintain your motivation, because the world wants to demotivate you. They want to turn you into a slave where you work for somebody else, and you have to show up at 9 in the morning, and you have to stay till 6, and you have to come in even when you're sick, and that's bullshit. You want to define your own life, and you want to live your own life by your rules. And that's really what success is. Doing what you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it. So that's the first thing. So next, the most important asset you have is yourself. Your health, your intelligence, your ability to do things, right? That's the one thing you've really got that can't be taken away from you. And so maintaining your health and your rest are top priority. This is why I play video games every night. I'll spend an hour or two just relaxing, watching videos or playing games with my friends. You need recreation time. Don't believe in any of that crap that says, oh, you've got to work until you drop dead. No, that's bullshit. Because then what's the point of living? Your mind needs time to rest. Your body needs time to rest. Your health is crucial. You need to eat healthy. You need to get at least your 8 hours of sleep every night, or certainly at least 6. Take a nap in the middle of the day if you can. I always prioritize my personal health above all else, because if I go down, if I get sick, then I'm not earning money. And I've got a lot of employees who depend on my ability to bring in the contracts, bring in the projects, right? And you've got loved ones that depend on you too. And it's good to work hard. Don't get me wrong. I work my ass off. But I work smart about it. I look at what can I do to be the most efficient possible. When is the crucial times that I have to be functioning? And when can I take it easy? For example, I need to be up early this morning because I've got to help open up the shop. I've got to help open the office. I've got to drive one of my guys to work. But then, after I make my morning phone calls, I can relax for a little bit. I'll probably take a 2-hour nap in the middle of the day. Now, I can't always do that, but today I can. Why? Because I got ahead of my work. And I need to be alert for my meeting this afternoon. And if I'm not alert for the meeting this afternoon that is crucially important, then what's the point, right? Because my afternoon meeting is going to earn me a lot more money than if I stay at the office and futz around for 2 hours not being particularly productive. So when you have time off, there's times you have to work and you got to bust your ass. But when you don't have to work, rest, eat healthy, exercise, relax, do something fun. Now, you can't just play video games all the time. You can't sleep all the time. But we all know this. We're adults. Or some of you might be kids. But the point is, you have to understand what's important and what's not. What can you delegate to other people if you're the boss? And if you're not the boss, how do you become the boss? Because you're never going to get rich working for somebody else. You have to take control of your life. And the first step is taking control of your health. Don't eat crappy food. It's frankly more cost effective to eat a smaller amount of really healthy stuff that empowers you and gives you gives you lots of energy than eating a bunch of fast food crap, which is frankly overpriced at this point anyway. And it's basically poison. And if you are tired, your brain capacity is reduced, similar to being drunk. You can always tell when I've been gaming too long if I'm streaming. I did, a 3-hour Rebel Galaxy stream the other night. I was like, and I was kind of slurring my words a little bit. I hadn't been drinking. I was just fucking tired. I thought, I'm not talking very well. I bet I'm tired. It is time to go to bed. And even though I was having a great time, it was time to go to bed. So work hard, but be smart about it. And I can go into detail in future videos perhaps on each of these topics. But you'll figure it out. Use your mind. Your mind is your most powerful weapon. The next thing is you have to develop useful skills and abilities. We should all be good at some things. And if you're not, get good at something. But more important than that, develop useful skills that other people don't have. As the world continues to globalize and you have to deal with foreign competition, whether foreign competition abroad or these swarms of migrants and immigrants coming in here, and I'm not going to discuss whether that's good or bad, it is, right? So we got to deal with it. You have to find a way to leverage your unfair advantages. For example, I have a technology company, and I have to compete with 500,000 or 1 million, probably several million foreign IT workers working here in the United States, as well as like the entire country of China, the entire country of India, the entire country of Russia, and half of Eastern Europe, who are all very good at technology. So how do I gain an unfair advantage? Well, I'm the local guy. So what can I do that only being local can offer? Well, I can do the personalized customer service. I can speak proper English. I can work late or show up early, or I can be flexible with my time to accommodate my customers. I can answer the phone, give people my cell phone number. Hey, you're an important customer. Here's my cell phone number. Call me if you need anything. I was having a conversation with a very good client of mine at like 11 o'clock last night. We were talking about some big project he wanted to do. Some foreign IT worker's not going to do that. They're going to be like, oh, time's up. I'm going home to my wife. And then they're done because they don't care, because it's just a job, right? But I'm the business owner. I work for myself. And so I have the unfair advantage of being able to put in this extra effort at times that other people wouldn't be willing to do. And guess what? I'm going to get the project. I already know it. Because this guy knows that no matter what, if he needs something and it's important, that I'll be there for him. And I know that he's only going to call me in the middle of the night if it's actually important. Right? So develop your useful skills. You've got to be good at something or several things. It's just like in any game. You train, you develop your skills so you can take down the bosses easier. And there comes a certain point where once you're good enough at something, all of a sudden that fight becomes much easier. And it's the same in real life. Not just with fighting, but with business, with work. And it doesn't matter what the skill is, as long as it's useful. So many people go to school and spend $100,000 learning bullshit that they're never going to be able to use. Well, that doesn't get you anywhere. All that does is get you a lot of debt that maybe the government will pay off for you, maybe they won't. But either way, it doesn't do anything useful for you. And a lot of times you can learn these skills on your own, too. You don't have to go to school. I mean, school is useful. But there's a difference between going to school and getting educated. One of the smartest guys I know doesn't have a college degree. He dropped out of school and studied independently, and he is absolutely brilliant. And he figured out what certifications he needed to get to do the work that he wanted to do. He wanted to get into cybersecurity, and he became truly educated and brilliant. On the other hand, I know some people who became millionaires just mowing lawns. Why? Because they figured out how to sell a very simple service and how to maximize the efficiency, plan their routes, how to get people to help them with work, and how to coordinate a large number of people. And they became vastly successful. But they were very social people. So you have to figure out what are your unfair advantages in life, because most of the time we focus on what we suck at or what's our disadvantage, what's oppressing us. And sure, you have to take that into account, but you don't get ahead by being oppressed. You get ahead by figuring out how can I leverage my unfair advantages, my useful skills and abilities to beat the game. And it's the same thing in any video game where you take advantage of a glitch, or in Dungeons and Dragons where you stack certain buffs to gain a synergistic combination. Life's just like that. It's very similar. And you have to think outside the box and look at it as a problem to be solved, not something that, oh, woe is me, right? The final thing is you need to live vastly below your means, not just a little bit below your means. I mean, my financial coach friend will always tell you don't spend money you don't have, and that is very true. But in my opinion, you need to live vastly below your means. And for example, I drive an older car that's paid off. I live in an inexpensive home that was well below what I could afford at the time that I bought it. Why? Because I don't have to work that hard just to pay the day-to-day bills. If you're everybody needs money to live, and if you're constantly having to bust your ass every single day, you don't have any free time to develop skills, to build your own business, to do long-term productive things, because you're a slave at that point. And maybe you need that fancy house that costs you $6,000 a month, but if you're living in a cheap apartment that's $500 a month, you're going to have that extra $5,500 a month that you either don't need to earn, or you can invest it towards something long-term useful. So I can't stress this enough. Live vastly below your means. Why do I have the means to travel all over the world all the time? I mean, at one point, back before the economy started sucking so much, I was flying to Europe like every month or two. I mean, it wasn't that expensive to fly to Europe. It's like travel plus hotel, because I was staying with friends or doing a little on the cheap. I was paying like $1,500 a month. Oh my God, how can you afford $1,500 a month? Well, because my house payment's cheap and my car's paid off, and I don't eat out at restaurants, so I can afford to go do lots of really cool things because I live vastly below my means. Finally, small improvements add up. It's just like in any game. In World of Warcraft, you're stacking equipment that adds up your numbers, your buffs, your stats, and then eventually you get really awesome, right? In Dungeons and Dragons, you're casting buffs on your party, or you're gaining abilities or whatnot that add a +1 here and a +1 there. All these little things add up, right? It's the same in life. I call it the theory of small numbers. Enough small numbers add up to a big number. That's the one lesson I really learned in video games. And if you make your number high enough, then you can't be beat. And it's the same thing in life. All these little things that I do, for example, I'll take a project home. Why? Well, my business costs me a certain amount of money to run every month, which means I need to earn a certain amount every day. So if I take a project home and I earn an extra $100 or $200 by just getting some work done on the side, then that's work that I don't have to do later, and I can leverage my free time. I can go watch YouTube videos while reloading a computer or cleaning something up or building something for a customer, and I can stack these little things. Or I've got I work out a little bit in my spare time while I'm copying some data. All these little things add up. How do I have so much energy? Well, I eat healthy, and I didn't start out having lots of energy. I just trained and worked hard over the years, developed my body, developed my mind, and it slowly added up. And eventually, you find that your abilities become so extraordinary that tasks that used to be difficult for you are now easy. I don't freak out about a lot of stuff because I've already done a lot of things, right? And challenge yourself constantly. Always look for ways you can improve efficiency. Make something a little bit easier. For example, when I had to buy a new car, I got one that had Bluetooth audio in the car so that I could make a lot of my phone calls while driving down the road, because I don't want to have to hold a phone to my ear and risk an accident. All of a sudden, I can make 3, 4, 5 important phone calls while I'm driving around running other errands, and I'm stacking my time, and I'm adding efficiency, because you only have so much time. Time is the one commodity that you never get more of. You got what you got. You could extend it a little bit by hiring other people to do things for you, but your employees can only do so much. They can't do everything that you can do, because if they could, they have their own business and they wouldn't be working for you. So you can offshore or offload a lot of your tasks to your employees, but there's still the stuff that you as the boss has to do. And even if you're working for somebody else, you're going to have to find time to train, develop, improve your abilities, your skills, so that you can eventually have your own business, or at least have a side gig, or get that promotion, whatever. How do you do that more efficiently? How do you leverage your time and continue to gain advantages? Because stacking these unfair advantages is not an additive effect, it's a multiplicative effect. Okay, this is not a 3 plus 3 equals 6. It's a 3 times 3 equals 9. You keep adding and stacking these unfair advantages, like a good work ethic, a good education, a knowledge of how to get certain things done that are important, and these will keep multiplying until you become vastly more efficient compared to your competition. And life is a competition. You'll always have people wanting to do what you're doing. So this is kind of the basic mindset that I want you to get into. I'm not going into all the detail. I could probably talk an hour about each of these topics. But the basic mindset is you need to look for how you can win despite the world being unfair. And in many ways, we've had an artificially good period of time, at least for most of my lifetime. The world is naturally a very difficult, crappy place. It's very unfair. And sure, it's easy to be rich and powerful once you're already rich and powerful. But if you're not, if you're at the bottom of the heap, like most people are, you're going to have to find a way to claw your way out of the gutter. And that takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of brains. So don't worry about how bad your situation is now, and don't compare yourself to how other people are doing. That's not valid. You can't really compare yourself to other people. What you do is you compare yourself to how you were the day before and look at what you're going to be tomorrow. And then you just keep making these little improvements, and you keep just stacking them up. And eventually you're going to find yourself to be very successful. But remember, if you don't know where you're going, if you don't know where you want to go, you're not going to get there. So figure out what you view as success. How do you define it? Then you need to figure out how to measure it. Because if you can't measure your progress, you will get discouraged. Focus on your health. Get healthy, get strong. Because if you're down for the count, you're not doing anything. You got to work hard, but be smart about it. Develop useful skills and abilities because this is something that you have control over. And then figure out how to leverage your unfair advantages. Do things in ways that other people cannot compete with as effectively. Live vastly below your means so that you don't have to work as hard to pay the day-to-day bills, because that frees up a lot of time and a lot of money that you can spend making improvements to your life, and then keep making these improvements because they add up. And that is the basic formula for how I became successful and how you can become successful too. And remember, when I first got started, I had $500 in my pocket and I was practically homeless. And this is exactly how I did it. I was sleeping on friends' couches, and eventually I started making money, got my own place, I built my own business, but it took a long ass time. And the only reason I stayed motivated, because I knew where I was going, I knew how I was going to get there, I could measure it, and I stayed healthy. So, I hope you find this useful. I hope you find this helpful. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comments below, and I'd be happy to respond. And good luck. Don't get discouraged. Just keep at it. The world sucks, but you can win anyway. Because let's face it, the people making our lives difficult, they aren't that smart. They're just arrogant and ignorant about a lot of things, and they're just in it for themselves. And so, you can do this. You just have to figure out how. And if it doesn't work the first time, find a different way to do it. Sometimes you have to play the game a few times before you win. So as long as you don't die, you can roll the dice one more time and take a shot at success. So go for it. Thank you, everyone. I hope you found this useful, and I will see everyone next time. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did like it, subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends. You can also check out my website, Bobtheorc.com, where you can download a free copy of my dad's book and some other things. Have a nice day. Goodbye.